follow me on this one. Brady! How about that? How about that? Goddamn, this is what the hell we do. Let's smoke our, let's talk our, the Raiders goddamn way. Let's do it.
It be that R, it be that A, it be that I, our defense bang. It be that E, it be that R, it be that S on our chest that got us far. We be them Raiders, we be them Raiders, we be them Raiders, just wanna be that hater. We be them Raiders, we be them Raiders, we be them Raiders, we be them Raiders. Give me a stack, I'ma turn it to some racks. LA didn't wanna give us our home, but LV got us on the map. That be a fact, I've let it all on silver and black. Hard Carson and Mad Max got me in, but I've been down since the 90s. You with the black hole, homie, don't try me. Raiders roll keep some say that we grind me. But we bring the revenue every time we grind in. Third and summon, Wallace tongue. Brentford caught it and now he's spinning. Mariota on third, he's sprinting. R.I.P. Madden on Davis and all of the
ill intent, violence, physicality, execution.
Raider Nation, what's going on? Shield Squad, it's your boy Chris with Protect the Show podcast, where my opinions might not always be popular, but they'll always be authentic, man. I appreciate you guys coming through to my new Thursday special, the Shield Talk Thursday, man. Got a great guest today, and I'm not just going to blab, man. I'm actually just going to bring him up right now. I got my boy Raider D in the building, man. What's going on, Raider D? How you doing, boss?
Raiders!
Let's go,
baby. Just win, baby. What's up, fam? What's happening?
Hey, man. Hey, I'm glad to have you on here, man. Definitely a big fan of yours. And, you know, I was able to go on your show, man, a few months ago, man. And I'm glad to be able to have you on mine. But before we get into you, man, I got to say what's up to all the Shield Squad that's in the chat, man. Got my boy Billy Davis in the building. What's going on, my guy? Raider Paul in the building. What's up, man? Got Moneynomics in the building. Salute to you. Got Gunsmoke. GG, what's going on? How you doing? Got Rob Sin City. Rob of Sin City. What's going on, Rob? Appreciate you coming through. Got my boy T.I., man, in the building. My boy from Ohio. What's happening? Let's see. Got my boy Hefe in the building, man. What's going on? D Mokes in the building. What's going on? Got Raider Vision in the building. He said, Tank, go get Ward. We'll talk about all that. Y'all know how I feel about Tank, but I'm changing my we'll get to it. We'll get to
that for sure.
Freddie in the building. What's going on? Tokyo Raider, what's going on? Got my 2 cents in the building. Got ASMR Dog's Life in the building. What's going on? My boy All Eyes on G, what's going on, man? So I appreciate everybody that's in the building, man. Everyone that's here to support my boy Raider D. But while we talking about it, man, let's kind of talk about you at first, man, because you blew up like crazy, mad quick, man. And you know, I know probably a lot of my subscribers are also subscribed to you, but if they're not, make sure you guys go check out my boy Raider D on YouTube. And in fact, I'll let you go ahead and tell everybody kind of your story, man.
Yeah, man. I just, from the Bay Area, California, lifetime Raiders fan. Just last year, I was kind of feeling like there wasn't enough Raiders voices out there that were authentic. There definitely are some really good ones, but I felt like there was some that were lacking. It was a little bit too commercial and a little bit too much about the money, which I understand everybody's got to make money, especially if you're doing this full time.
Right.
And so I just started throwing my voice out there, just a bunch of opinions and stuff. I like to talk to people, which is why I started the podcast. And lo and behold, I mean, one thing just fell after another. And I've been fortunate to have made some really good connections with the Raiders organization. We were invited out there to Las Vegas, got to sit with the friends and family section, got to meet a whole bunch of people, like, sitting right next to Jack Jones' family. And, I got Coach Antonio Pierce kids running around my booth, and, they got just crazy, event that went down, and it was a lot of fun, man. And so as the podcast has been growing, we've had players on the podcast, both current and former. Super Bowl champion Bruce Wilkerson's been on the channel and stuff. And I think the coolest thing about it has been getting to meet people, not just with the Raiders organization, not just with players, but Raiders fans all over the place. It's been a wild experience, a wild ride over this past 9 months or so.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I love it. It's my full-time job now. So yeah.
No, that's sweet, man. Like I said, when I was watching you, man, it was one thing I love about you, man. You don't mind calling people out. You know what I'm saying? Like you're even more vocal than me. Like I like to call people out, but just the way you did it, I think the first time that I really noticed it was Mitchell Rentz.
Yeah,
and he actually came on your show, man. But I was feeling so much what you're saying, because you know, a lot of people feel whatever way about Mitch, and other content creators, man. And it was fire that he actually came on your show and was able to kind of talk to you about it, and you guys kind of sparred it out. But it was a good, healthy discussion, man. But I like that about you, because you weren't disrespectful. You just called it how you said it, how you saw it. Call a ball, a strike, and that's all we can ask for from content creators. In my mind, man.
And big shout out to Mitchell Rentz over there at Chat Sports, because he didn't have to come on my show. At that time, right. I had like 1,200 subscribers. He's got 170,000. Right. So who am I to him? He doesn't have to defend anything to me or nothing else. And I got to know him. We talk, I don't know, every couple of weeks or so still to this day.
That's sweet. Sweet.
I don't like the way he does some things on his show. It's not my style. It's not for me, but I know a lot of people do get a lot of enjoyment and entertainment out of his style of content. But one thing I did get to find out about him, and this is the cool thing about YouTube and how you can make connections, is behind the scenes, Mitchell Rentz is actually a really cool dude. Like,
I believe it. Yeah, I believe it.
Super chill.
I believe it.
There's other people that I've had Sanjeet on the show.
Yeah,
super chill dude. I don't agree with everything that he says, and they don't agree with everything I say, and I'm sure nobody is going to agree.
Exactly.
Obviously, a lot of people that have been watching my channel for any amount of time know that there is a beef between me and another content creator who likes to wear Saints jerseys, and that's not going to stop. That's not going to stop until he stops wearing Saints jerseys. Right.
I don't even we don't even think about him. He blocked me a long time ago. We don't even recognize him over here.
Yeah.
So but no, for sure. No, I agree, man. It's regardless of how you feel, like even people in my chat, man, we debate all the time, and they don't agree with me a lot of the time, and I don't agree, but it's all love, man. We're all family. Like I went on a rant yesterday, man, calling a lot of Raider Nation out, man, just specifically about the whole Davante Adams thing and all that stuff. And I know when we kind of chopped it up earlier, we were kind of talking, and it was good to kind of hear some of your views, man. But let's get right into it, man. One of the things I do want to talk about, of course, is just the whole Davante Adams thing. A lot of people feel a lot of different ways. So, before I kind of talk about me and how I feel, what's your thoughts on just the whole thing, just from the trade, how it was handled, the compensation we got back? What's your thoughts?
Well, before I get into that, I just want to say to the 50 people we got up in the chat right now, get them likes up, man.
Get them likes up.
If you love the Raiders, then you got to like this podcast. It's the 3 little buttons up top of your phone. If you're watching on your phone, hit that like button and help support this podcast. Get my man's message out there, because he be putting out quality content. My man. So yeah, I mean, here's the situation. So like I said, it's been a crazy journey over the past 9 months as the channel is, and I wouldn't even say that we've blown up. We're at 9,000 subscribers, a few million views. That's nothing in YouTube universe. It hit me back up if I hit 100,000. Then we'll celebrate at that point.
You'll get there for sure.
I will say this: the craziness of this journey is that I've made contacts within the Raiders organization, and in these contacts, like, we've gotten really close. Like, we're friends now, and they care deeply about the Raiders, and so they can't come out to the media and say, "Listen, this is what's wrong with the Raiders right now." Right. So they rely on me. This is how Ian Rappaport gets his news. Like, they make friends within the organization of people that have, information. And this is now what has happened with us. According to my sources within the Raiders, there's a few things that went down with this Davante Adams, and a lot of people are understanding this, and I'm seeing a lot of hate towards Davante Adams with the fan base as well as with content creators.
It drives me
Somebody very close to this situation told me point blank, Davante never asked for a trade when this all started. This all started with a simple conversation in a hallway with Tom Telesco. And all he said was, and I believe it was after the Carolina game, listen, if we're not going to make the playoffs, if it's obvious by a trade deadline, is there anybody calling for me? Because I'm getting old, man. I'm 32. And that was it. It was just a simple conversation. He didn't request a trade. His agents didn't go to them, nothing like that. Next thing you know, there's a leak in the media that Davante Adams had requested a trade. He had played his last snap. And then Coach Antonio Pierce, I have no idea why he did this, but goes and likes it with his own profile, which was, in my opinion, not the right thing to do and very amateurish as a head coach. You just don't stir up crap in your own locker room. You just don't do that.
No.
But that then roller coastered into a whole sour taste in Davante Adams' mouth. Now he's putting out statements that are very complimentary of Tom Telesco, the Raiders organization, Antonio Pierce, all of that stuff. But behind the scenes, it was a lot uglier than what anybody is leading on to, whether it's the Raiders or Davante, because they kind of have to do that for PR.
Right.
But it just wasn't handled correctly. And I made a point of this in my live stream a couple of days ago. Remember how Derek Carr was treated? And remember a statement from Derek Carr when he said, when they made my wife cry, that was it.
It was
that
over.
Was it.
It's a respect thing, man.
Right. And so this, even though we have a new GM and we have a new head coach, for some reason, we're still treating players this way, including their families. Right. And so there's something that people don't understand. There's a special section that is reserved for friends and family. You cannot buy these tickets. It does not matter who you are. It is invite only. Right. So this is where the wives sit, the moms, the dads, everybody. Like I was hanging out with Dylan Lauby's parents. Dad is super cool dude. You got to be on that list. My source informed me while Davante was still on the team 3 weeks ago, they took his wife off that list. Now, what a lot of people don't understand is it's not just sitting at the stadium. They have social events for the wives and the families. They have friendships. They have bonds. They took her off that list 3 weeks ago. He was still a Raider, and that upset her. Obviously, they did the same thing to Derek Carr's family. This is why his wife cried, right? It's kind of like I don't even understand why the Raiders would do this, but it's like a slap in the face. Like not only are we going to get rid of you, but we're done with your family too, right? And it just doesn't make any sense.
Was this when he first said his hamstring hurt? I mean, or actually like when he first made it clear that he was looking to go elsewhere.
Yeah, so he
right.
according to my source, the hamstring injury was real. It wasn't a major injury, and he even said it wasn't a major injury. Could he have played last week? Yeah, he could have. But at that point, it was already a done deal that he would be traded no matter what. They were in conversations with multiple different teams, but the main one being the Jets, because that's where he wanted to go. He even said that in his presser today that they asked him, like, did you have any say in coming to the Jets? He said, of course.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he's a superstar wide receiver. He's not just going to accept it. And remember, the team that's accepting him, they got to talk to him like, you want to come here and renegotiate your contract so that we can pay for you, right? If he says no, then they're not going to get him.
See, I'm so glad you say that, man. And that's why I keep trying to tell the fan base this, because they, in their mind, they think, oh, well, forget Davante. Let's just ship him off to Cleveland or ship him off. Like, it doesn't work like that. Like, granted, he did not have a no trade clause, but essentially he kind of did
because of guaranteed money.
Exactly.
That's his no trade clause, is that guaranteed money.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And any team that's going to take him, they got to negotiate that with him.
Exactly.
And if he says no, then they're going to be like, okay, then we're not going to trade for you.
It's simple as that.
Yeah.
Simple as that. So he literally could say, "Hey, I'm only willing to, restructure my contract for 3 teams."
Exactly.
That's his no trade clause right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And he had a list of teams that he was willing to do that for, and the top 2 was the Jets and the Saints. So, at the end of the day, we got to understand this as Raiders fans. And I understand because I told guys when Gardner Minshew was when he was announced to be the QB1, I told everybody on my podcast, if the Raiders have a losing record by week 4, 5, or 6,
They got to trade
and Gardner Minshew is still the QB, Davante will not finish the season as a Raider. And I got so much blowback by people saying, but Tom Telesco said he's not going anywhere this year. And Raider D, you don't know what you're talking about. Stop spreading rumors. You're just a hater. And I said, look, man, it's not about me wanting Davante gone, because I made it very clear the Raiders are better with Davante than without him. That was clear last week.
Right.
The problem is this. The dude's getting paid $42.1 million next year and $44.1 million the following year.
Yep.
If you don't have a quarterback, you're not paying a dude that much money. They will trade him. So we knew that the trade was going to end up coming when obviously we have a losing record, and there's, Gardner Minshew is better at picking his nose than throwing touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? Not to hate on Gardner Minshew, that, he's a cool dude and all for the Raiders, but at the end of the day, the Raiders don't have a quarterback. And when this conversation happened, Gardner Minshew was still clearly QB1. Clearly. And remember, he was at the game, that first game when he hurt his hamstring. He was at that game. And we went and won. Who was that against? The Browns. He was there at the game. And then following that,
he was out.
Yeah, after that, he wasn't at the stadium at all. Whether he traveled with us or it was a home game, he wasn't there at all. And that's because it was a done deal. Like, we're washing our hands on both sides and whatnot. So, it's at the end of the day, Davante Adams is an all-pro superstar wide receiver who's at the end of his career. He doesn't want to end it with a second-string quarterback. Now, had Aiden O'Connell been the starting QB from week 1, I think we're talking a whole different story, even if we don't have a winning record. Because that was his boy. He made it very clear that he wanted AOC to be the starter. And when that didn't happen, it started to cause problems. If you look at his presser today at the Jets, he made it very clear that he just didn't see a way that they were going to be able to utilize him effectively. And remember, this decision happened back when Gardner Minshew, GM, was the starting QB when all of this started. So them putting AOC in, it was too late because the damage was already done. It was a done deal because according to my source, when AOC was announced, I immediately called up my source like, bro, what's happening with DA? Is he going to change his mind? And he said, I just talked to him. It's a done deal. He's not coming back. The damage was too much done, particularly on the family side. Like, that was just rubbing salt in the wound. And so he was like, yeah, I'm good. As much as he likes Aiden O'Connell, he was like, I'm not gonna deal with this. Too weird. It's too awkward. And the unfortunate side effect of all of this right now is my source tells me that the Raiders locker room is the same today as it was at the end of Josh McDaniels' tenure with the Raiders. Everybody is walking on eggshells in that locker room right now.
That's interesting. Now, I will say, what you said about like the AOC and Gardner, I don't know how much I particularly believe it, because I think with DA's relationship with Getsy, I feel that he had a big say in who the starter was, to be honest. But you don't think so?
No. He definitely put his word in there. Antonio Pierce didn't even have a say, bro. Antonio Pierce was overruled. This was not, and I don't care what anybody tells you. This was not Antonio Pierce's choice. He's going to make it seem like that because he has to. Antonio Pierce was in. Here's the thing. Right now in the Raiders organization, there are two camps. And that's why I said there is some serious heads butting within the Raiders organization. There's one camp on Tom Telesco's side. And there's the other camp on Champ Kelly's side. Champ Kelly will not be with the Raiders next year. Mark my words. He's gone. If Tom Telesco stays GM, Champ Kelly is gone. He will not be with the Raiders.
That makes sense. I bet a lot of people in that building probably wanted Champ to get the
absolutely.
Get the job.
And Antonio Pierce was the main one.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. So Cliff King, let's go all the way, but let's go all the way back to the beginning. Cliff Kingsbury. Yeah. That was Antonio Pierce's choice. Yep. That's his OC. That's who he wanted. He got him in, got the initial, okay, yes, we're making a deal. We were all excited, right? According to my source, and I have a couple of different sources. So I have one that's closer to the locker room, and I have one that's in the front office of the Raiders. Tom Telesco ruined that deal. Tom Telesco and Mark Davis. They ruined the deal with Cliff Kingsbury. They lowballed him, first of all, in his contract. And then they wouldn't give him a long-term contract. And then they made it very clear that Tom Telesco had no intent on trying to move up and get a premier quarterback this year. Tom Telesco does not believe in that. And Cliff knew that, right? That was a part of all of the conversations that they were having. Cliff wasn't happy with that because he's looking at, you just brought in a second string quarterback to back up a second string quarterback. Want me to make honey out of nothing, right? This is going to be very difficult. You've at least got to commit to me that you're going to try and move up and grab, at very least, a Michael Penix.
Right.
And it was made pretty clear that if Michael Penix fell into their lap, sure, they would take him. But otherwise, they're not going to move up. Tom Telesco's philosophy is you don't sell the farm for any quarterback, no matter who it is. Proof positive. Look at what he did in LA. Justin Herbert fell to his lap. He didn't. Right. So Champ Kelly, remember, the story came out that Champ really wanted CJ Stroud. He's assistant to the GM under McDaniels. And he was able to get Ziegler on board with that. So him and Ziegler go to McDaniels and say, let's move up and get CJ Stroud. This was Champ Kelly, not Ziegler.
Yeah. So he's willing to be aggressive and go get his guy.
Yes. That didn't happen. So then this last offseason, same thing. He's telling Tom Telesco, we have got to move up, move heaven and earth, whatever it takes. He had a list of guys. Jaden Daniels was obviously on that list, but that was going to be difficult to get. Yeah. But at the very least, move up with the Patriots. Make a deal with the Patriots at pick number 3 and try and at least get a Drake May or a Michael Penix. I'm glad they didn't do that as far as Drake May, because I do not think he's going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. Yeah. But Michael Penix, I would have been on board with, because I do believe he will be good. Not Jaden Daniels good, but good. Tom Telesco was like, no. Nah, not doing it. Now, I know that ESPN, one of their talking heads, said, yeah, the Raiders offered 3 first-round draft picks for Washington, 2nd overall for Jaden Daniels. Absolute lie. Absolute, according to my sources, right? And my sources have been right. This is how I knew that the deal was done with Davante Adams a full day before Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport, and that's how I was able to report it. How did I know that Malcolm Kuntz was going to be on IR for the entire season a full 2 days before anybody else? I announced it on my channel. This is
the like button, everybody. Hit the like button. Raider D spitting right now, man. He's spitting.
This is how I know this information is accurate, because my guys who have been feeding me this information for months now have never steered me wrong. So every time I've come out and said, guys, this is what's happening, within a day, that's exactly what happens. And here's the funny thing is, Davante says that he didn't even know until the day that he flew to New York on the red eye to the Jets. I knew that the deal was done between the Jets and the Raiders within 30 minutes of Davante Adams finding out. Nobody else had known. Only the Raiders knew. Only the Jets knew. Only Davante Adams knew. Aaron Rodgers didn't even know yet. And we were able to know about this. So when my guys tell me that this is what's going on, Raider D, this is what's happening with the building, obviously they come out and say that, they're going to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
So there's clashing going on right now between Champ Kelly's side and their camp and Antonio Pierce. And this is how I know. Aiden O'Connell, according to Antonio Pierce, was QB1 until he was beat out. So anyone's got that comes in, no matter where you're drafted or if you're a free agent, you have to beat out AOC.
Yeah, and
that did not happen. That did not happen. Neither one beat each other out. It was a pretty even kill, but I think that, you know, it was a little bit of a skewed scale because AOC really didn't get to show as much. Gardner Minshew got more snaps. And that's just the way that things worked out because in the first game, AOC, you know, first quarter is his, but he only gets, you know, one drive in that first quarter, which he did really good on. So the plan, Davante wanted AOC. Coach Antonio Pierce wanted AOC. Mark Davis and Tom Telesco. And think about this logically. Tom Telesco brings this dude and gives him a $15 million guarantee bonus, which is more than any backup quarterback in the NFL. He just got fired from LA. He comes to the Raiders. He brings this guy in when there was other veterans he could have brought in who are better than Gardner Minshew. And he's going to be sitting on the bench?
Yeah.
No, AOC had to be light years ahead in order for him to have a shot to be the starter. Tom Telesco and Mark Davis put the pressure and told coach, listen, you got to start Gardner. And it's his first year as head coach. So, of course, he's going to be like, all right.
Yeah.
Right. And so you could see it even in his pressers that Coach Antonio Pierce is kind of between a rock and a hard spot. He wants to make the change, but he really can't, especially, you know, when we won that game with Gardner Minshew without Davante Adams, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So now he's like really in a rock and a hard place. Gardner Minshew didn't win us that game. Our defense did. But, you know, we win the game. So now you got to give him another shot, another week. And then, of course, you know, we get blown out. So the truth behind the story, according to as much as I know, and of course, nothing in the universe is guaranteed, except death and taxes. From the information that I have garnered, Gardner Minshew was an overrule by Tom Telesco and Mark Davis. And obviously it didn't work out. At that very moment, like as soon as Davante heard that it was not going to be Aiden O'Connell, it was going to be Gardner Minshew. You have to remember, these two started building chemistry last year. They were building chemistry in the off season together. And then Gardner Minshew comes in, a quarterback that A, doesn't know the system, and B, has zero chemistry whatsoever with Davante Adams. So now it's like a double whammy. You're starting over twice. And so, of course, Davante's not happy about that. But, you know, he's a trooper. He's like, okay, I'm going to make the best of it and see if we can get that chemistry and that connection. And it just didn't happen. And you could see the frustration on Davante's face. He's like, man, this dude's overthrown me. This is like Jimmy G 2.0. So all of that culminated into a conversation in a hallway with Tom Telesco. It blew out of proportion. And like I said, my source who talked to him directly said straight up that he didn't, his agents never went and requested a trade until after they leaked that he had played his last snap as a Raider. That was when it was like, oh, okay. All right. You're not even going to call me. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's when the official request went in.
Yeah. And honestly, I think the whole like the Kay Adams interview that he did, and she asked him about it, and like the whole of the message by AP, I think that really did bother him. I mean, you know, because one thing that a lot of people are saying, they're just making it seem like, oh, Davante lied. He kept lying to us. My thing is Davante wanted to keep everything in house as a professional should. You know, people keep thinking these daggone pressers are supposed to give us a true inside of the locker room. It's not. The pressers are just pure for public relation, to be able to spin certain narratives and things like that. But it pisses me off when people keep saying like he lied. Like everybody that is on that podium, 9 times out of 10, they're not telling us everything that's going on. You know, they're telling us what they can. They're trying to be as politically correct as they can. You know, like they really think that Davante should have told us, hey, I'm not happy here, guys. I want to get out of here. No, he's not going to say that. He's going to say, hey, I want to be a Raider. I've always been a Raider. You know, I've been a fan, like all this stuff. That's what he's supposed to do. And that's what it kills me that people don't understand that.
Well, you know, there's two sides of it, right? So obviously, you know, the players have a responsibility, and they have, especially the stars, right? They don't just have agents, and this is another side of the business as I've gotten into this that I've learned. Even just like, you know, guys, rookies, for example. I've had Trey Taylor on my program. I've talked to him several times. I actually just talked to him yesterday. He's doing good. He's back. He's off IR. He's not 100% yet, but he will be hopefully within the next week or two.
Nice.
Great young rookie. But even for me to get him on my channel, not only do I have to go through his agent, we have to like get his agent's approval, but then
Not send him the questions.
I don't have to do that, but
Okay.
at least not with him. But they also have a press media person attached to them as well. That this is somebody that works under the agent that deals with all their press stuff.
Yeah.
And they kind of just want to get to know you, especially if you're not a big brand like ESPN, Sports.
Yeah.
Illustrated,
Oh,
Fox,
yeah.
whatever. If you're just like a YouTuber like us,
Yeah.
they want to like investigate you, see that you're professional and stuff. And to, you know, hats off to Trey Taylor's team. They're all like super nice and easy to work with and everything, which is how I was able to get them on the channel.
Yeah.
But even though we talk, you know, we text back and forth with each other, have been in contact for, you know, pretty much since he got drafted. Even still, I have to go through them to get it scheduled for him to come on. Like he can't just pop on with me.
That makes sense.
And this is to protect the players. Now, when you're talking about coaches, it's a whole different ball game. And I actually have somebody high up within the Raiders organization who does not like me at all. And it makes it very difficult for me because he's in a pretty powerful position where I actually got an email from him actually after the Trey Taylor interview where he was upset that I did not seek his permission
to release that info,
to release that player thing. And I emailed him back very respectfully. I said, listen, with all due respect, I would love to work with you and your team because, you know, as a lifelong Raiders fan, my only goal is to elevate the Raiders. I'm not ever going to do anything that's going to try and hurt the Raiders. But truth be told, he's a player. He's not officially an employee. He's a contracted employee with you. According to the player union contract with the NFL, they don't need your permission. They don't need the team's permission to talk to anybody, right? Now, if I want to talk to a coach, yes, I need to go to you. And that's how it works. So with any personnel like coaches, GM, stuff like that, you have to go through the team's official media channels.
Yeah.
Because contractually, they can't talk to anybody until they have that permission. In fact, I mean, you know, like JT the Brick, right? I got to know him a little bit, talk to him a little bit. Want to get him on the channel. Absolutely. I'd love to come on your channel. We just got to get cleared through the same person that doesn't like me very much because JT the Brick is officially an employee on the other side of the Las Vegas Raiders. So I was like, oh, dang, well, that might be a problem because the guy who has to approve that
You'd have
don't
pissed
like me
them
very
off,
much.
man. You'd have pissed them off.
But I've made a contact with somebody else who's at that same level, and he's trying to like smooth stuff out. So hopefully I'll get JT the Brick and some of these other really cool dudes on the channel here pretty soon. And we'll get all that hashed out because I think, you know, like I told him, I was like, listen, I'm more than willing to, even when I have player stuff, I am more than willing to send it to you guys first and just let you guys just look at it, make sure, because everything I do is going to be super professional when I have these players on. I'm not going to say anything that's going to embarrass them, embarrass the team, because I would never get them back any player in the future. So I'm not dumb.
It helps nobody. Right.
Yeah. So it's when the coach goes out and says one thing, there's people, the media team with the Raiders, who give him a bullet point list of what to say and how to answer certain questions that are going to come up. And so when coach last week came out and said, yeah, we talked, me and Davante, everything is super cool. Kumbaya. He'll play next week if he's healthy, everything else. That's a bullet point list that he has to read out because they're trying to elevate his trade status because they're in trade talks.
Exactly.
We all knew it was a lie.
Exactly.
Like I called it out immediately. Like I know that's a lie because I have somebody close to the Davante Adams who says, yeah, that didn't actually happen. Right. They didn't have a kumbaya coming to heart.
Yeah, you know, exactly.
So there's a lot of stuff that people like. I never knew this 9 months ago. I had no idea how any of this worked.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only through all of these communications that I've had with players, teams, agents, and stuff where I've actually come to learn, like, man, this is actually some pretty complicated stuff.
Yeah.
And so maybe we shouldn't just throw out. I mean, like I've seen such the most ignorant post on Instagram today about, I hope Davante's wife cheats on him or something like that.
It's sickening, man. It's sickening.
And I was like, first of all, and this is a grown man, like, bro, this isn't junior high. What are you doing putting a post out like that about another man's wife, his family? That's just not cool. However you feel about Davante Adams leaving the team, requesting a trade, whatever, that's fine. You could be upset about it. As Raiders fans, we don't like to see that happen. But
right.
To be ignorant and then you're like representing the Raider Nation with that kind of stuff, it's just not classy. It's not cool. And to be honest, as a lifelong Raiders fan, I'm offended by it because you're representing us, bro. So it's like, chill, man. That's not cool. You can go on Instagram and be like, man, I'm upset that Davante left. That's perfectly fine. That's 100% acceptable. But to throw out stuff like, man, I hope his wife cheats on him and he's a B word, this, that, it's like, nah, come on, bro. Go beat up some 49ers.
No, it's right. It's sickening, man, the way our fans, talk and how they act, man. I can't stand it, to be quite honest. I can't stand it. But salute to everybody that's in the chat, man. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up. Everybody that is over there in Instagram, man. Salute to you guys, man. I can't really see your comments if you guys have comments. So make sure you guys come on over to the YouTube channel, man, and join the fun. And everybody, you guys are not subscribed to boy Raider D podcast, man, make sure you guys subscribe to him. Has a lot of fire content, has good inside information and all that stuff. But one thing, we kept talking about just kind of the Davante's press conference and things that he said. So, I did have a chance to kind of look through that. Wanted to kind of play this, and I'm not sure if everybody in the chat had a chance to see it, but wanted to make sure you guys did hear this part in particular because it kind of got my attention.
Before, the Raiders are in a better place. Why would the Raiders be in a better place trading one of their best players?
It's a great question. I've actually had this talk with some of the guys, coach and Tom Telesco, same thing. And I said sometimes if you don't properly, or let me choose my words carefully here. I just think the usage sometimes and the way you go about things and the idea of how you're trying to get the ball to certain people, if it's not working, typically, a lot of the success me and Aaron had is because we were on the same page. And, him and I, whether it was the signal he gave and we changed the play, or knowing when the ball's going to come out, or understanding that just because they're trying to double team doesn't mean you're covered. You can always, beat a safety with the ball. Just because they want to line up and put the safety, and try to play cover too. We don't just shut it down and move on. Sometimes you got to find a way to still make the play work. Because if we're looking for single coverage in order for me to make a play, then I won't be able to make very many plays over the course of a year, just based off the way I've been played by a lot of these defenses. So I think some of it is get me to a place where, I'm obviously got a lot of familiarity with this offense and with the quarterback, and he understands how I see the game and how I see, the ball thrown and all those things. And, sometimes it can make it easier because the reality is you're looking at the third downs and, looking at the red zone numbers and percentages and all that stuff. A lot of times that stuff goes out the window when I'm on the field, just based off of, their want to take me away. And you're not just going to get these super vanilla looks on 3rd and 3. So sometimes it can make it easier for you to call plays and to execute on 3rd down if you don't have exotic shells and a bunch of weird stuff to look at.
So what's your thoughts on that, man? I feel what he was saying, honestly.
Very, very politically correct of it's the quarterback's fault.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what he's saying. But the thing is, I truly believe he wanted it to work in the beginning. But at the end of the day, when he, the type of player he is, he expects greatness. He wants to be great. And just like I tell everybody, high performing people do not like being around dysfunction. I mean, that's just how it is. Any high performing person I know just did not like being, around dysfunction. So I think he tried. He wanted it to work. The quarterback, I mean, he basically was saying like with the quarterbacks that we currently have, if it's not a one-on-one, which Davante's not going to get too many one-on-ones, then it's going to be hard to give him the ball.
Yeah.
And then he said, like, if you're with a good quarterback, they understand that, okay, even if a safety's over there, you can throw off the safety. Like you can still throw the receiver open, even if there's a safety there. But all quarterbacks can't do that. Unfortunately, we have two that can't do that.
Right. And that's one of the biggest issues.
Yeah.
And what, like he's trying to say, with a dude like Aaron Rodgers, he knows that it's going to have cloud coverage over him. He's going to be double teamed. So Aaron he'll read the defense and change the play to make it easier for Davante to defeat that double coverage. And then, Aaron Rodgers will look off the safety, and he's really good at that. He's really good at play action. Our quarterback simply can't do that. Aiden O'Connell, I think, if he was given a starting role for 4 years with a really good offensive line, he could develop into that. I don't think that the Raider fan base have 4 years to sit around and wait for that.
No.
Or the
He's
patience
26 now, so we definitely don't have time to wait for it with him.
So long term, the Raiders have to go out and get another quarterback, and it's going to have to be in the first round. And I know there was some comments earlier as we were getting started about Cam Ward, who is right now my top's favorite quarterback.
That's my guy, man.
He is.
And going into this season, I wasn't real big on him. Big on him going in, but now I've watched him. That guy's tough.
Well, this happens every year. Like 2 years ago, nobody was talking about Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Nobody. Last year, Jaden Daniels, Heisman Trophy winner. The dude's a superstar. And now he's showing that he's a superstar in the NFL as well. Every year, you're going to have guys who are going to take that next step. And I think with Cam, what really elevated him is the fact that he went to Miami.
Oh, yeah.
Miami is a historic school, and the fact that they are just killing it out there, and he has elevated that entire team. That now everybody's talking about. This dude is going to be a superstar. And I just love his game. You know what? The main thing I love about Cam Ward is he is a pocket passer with a rocket for an arm. But if you get too close to him, he'll burn you for a 40-yard touchdown.
He's out of there. There. And what I like about him is, I like and I don't like, but he always has that one throw. You're just like, what is he doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? Or, it's just like a boneheaded throw. And then one thing that I truly love about him about that is he has a short memory. He doesn't, like, when he goes back out there, it's like he doesn't, like, that play didn't even happen. And how many times have I seen him be down by 14 points going into the fourth quarter, 17 points going into the fourth quarter? He's cool, calm, relaxed. He kind of their game is different, but like whenever you look at Pat Mahomes, when they're down, you don't see him, panicking. You don't see,
except for Christmas last year when we made
he about lost his mind. But even then, like, like Kelsey and them was really losing their mind. But but like when you look at Ward, man, it's like it's in his mind, it's like, I know I'm about to come back and blaze these guys, and that's what he does, man. So you're right, man. I'm very, very high on him because the year before I saw some things in him I didn't like, but I didn't watch him that much. But this year I haven't missed a game, and the dude's serious, man.
And that's where the Raiders, so I have a couple of different sources now with the Raiders, and one of them is in the front office. And according to my source there, I broke this story yesterday, that video is blown up. It's like 15,000 views right now. The Raiders scouting team were instructed from the top, i.e. meeting Mark Davis, to heavily scout Shedeur Sanders and his dad. Now, scouting teams never, and like my source there is like, this is like not a thing. Like the scouts don't scout quarterbacks. This is Tom Telesco is going to, make that decision or whatever, but their focus is on players. And so now they've been told to scout both. And so this part I can't confirm is true. The rumor within the building that my guy heard is that if Antonio Pierce doesn't win at least 8 games, he's out. And Mark Davis is very high on Deion Sanders and making him head coach, and very high on drafting Shedeur. Now, there's a couple of things that play into this that give this credence. Number one, Tom Brady is now part owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. And who is Tom Brady in the offseason helping to train? Shedeur Sanders. A comment made by Deion Sanders that he would have loved to play for the Raiders and how amazing the Raiders Stadium is and all of that.
Yeah.
And Deion, primetime, he wants back into the big time. So Colorado is a stepping stone to him getting back into the NFL now as a coach. I absolutely hate and dread this idea.
I want no parts of it. No parts of it.
Especially if it's a tandem. Right.
Right.
You got one or the other, it could work great. Maybe. Yeah. Right. But when you have a father and son, coach and quarterback, what if Shedeur sucks? Is he going to bench his son? No. And are you going to fire his dad? Like, how does that work out? So I'm hoping that this does not come true. Now, the part that I cannot confirm, it is just a rumor within the building, is the 8 games thing. AP's out. However, the scouts were instructed to, put a report together for Mark Davis on Shedeur Sanders and his dad. And I just hope that, Tom Brady, and we can get into that with him being a part owner, that we'll get some kind of professionalism and stability with the ownership now that we just haven't had with Mark. Because if he does something stupid like that, I'll lose my mind.
that me too. And honestly, I can't see Brady being okay with something like that. And in fact, we can kind of pivot into that. So, with Brady coming in, it's hard to say what his role is going to be. But one thing you got to say, you having people in that building that demand excellence. Like, honestly, it's almost like if a basketball team got Kobe to be a owner, someone that is obsessed with winning. That's one thing. No matter how you feel about Brady, like I'm a Michigan fan, loved him there. In the NFL, I didn't love him, but one thing I know for sure, he is obsessed with winning. He's gonna, even if he has to bend the rules to win, whatever, that's what he does. And I can't see him dealing, again, like I say, high-performing people don't want to be around this dysfunction. I love Deion as a player. He was a beast. But that is just way too much dysfunction that I don't think that someone like Seymour would want, someone like Brady would want. And I just can't see it. Now, if we want to go get Shedeur, that's fine, well and good. But I can't see that extra circus that Deion would bring. Because honestly, I don't think Deion would be a good coach in the NFL because the tactics that he uses in college, you can't talk to grown men that are making millions of dollars like that. Like you're yelling at kids because they have white socks and not black socks, or, you're telling people to take their earrings out, or, calling you sir. Like that's great at the college level because these kids are trying to get to the next level and trying to live out their dream. You're not going to be able to talk to a 4-time Pro Bowler like that. You're just not going to be able to. And I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think, if Deion primetime wants to get back into the NFL and coaching at some point, he should come in and be an assistant coach under a really good head coach
up the ranks
for a few years and then become a head coach. Because, again, like you said, it is 100% difference between college. And it's even getting harder to coach these dudes in college because of the NIL money and the transfer portal. It's like, oh, you want to talk crazy to me? I'm a superstar quarterback. I just bounce.
It's not even the same like it was. Like before, you have to wait your turn, earn your playing time. Now it's like, oh, I'm not playing right away. Oh yeah, I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm out. Yeah.
Right,
So,
and I'm gonna be rolling in a fat car and,
right.
and showing up with some jewels and some
Right.
fancy clothes and all that stuff, right? I mean, these dudes, like even Antonio Pierce said, like, when they were interviewing kids at the pro day and stuff, and he's like, man, these dudes are walking in with nicer earrings than me. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean? They got more
Oh yeah.
jewels than I do. So it's like these kids already got money. And now you amplify that with all pro type players, pro bowlers, dudes who are making 30, $40 million a year. You're just not going to talk crazy to them. It's not going to work.
No.
So I think, yeah, I hope that that's not going to end up being the case. And in this one regard, at first I was against Tom Brady becoming a owner of the Raiders because of the Tuck rule and just him whooping on us so many
Yeah, we
times.
gotta get over that, man.
But now he's Raider Nation, so we gotta embrace him. And you know what? After it became official and I set my feelings aside about it, I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? This is a blessing in disguise because this dude is a true professional at everything he does. And
Right.
the clown show and the circus and stuff of what has happened. And I don't even blame Mark Davis because Mark Davis has been 100% honest. He's like, dude, I am not a football guy. I just hire good football people who I think are good football people, and I hope they do a good job. If they don't, I fire them.
That's all you can do. That's
Because
really all you can do.
he's not his dad. Like he said it so many times. I'm not Al Davis. I'm Mark Davis. So you can't even blame Mark Davis because he was just born into it, right?
Yeah.
But he's not his dad. So now we got somebody who is a true professional when it comes to football, a real smart football mind, and just a dude who is a perfectionist. And hopefully that will help the organization make better decisions moving forward.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I think Mark does get a lot of, hate and like I think just from an owner standpoint for what he's supposed to do, I think he does well. Now, did he need to find better football guys to run the football side of it? Absolutely. I think he trusted in some of the wrong people. So I do have to give him blame for that because it goes back to everybody knows how I feel about Hugh Jackson. Hugh Jackson should have never been let go. Reggie McKenzie did a pretty good job at managing the money, but bringing in someone like Dennis Allen, that was one of Mark's first big decisions, and I think that kind of set the ball rolling in the wrong direction.
Yeah,
but yeah, I really feel that it's kind of going back to the Deion and Brady thing. I just I just don't want no parts of Deion at this point. And I know people in the comments are saying Deion did say he's not leaving for the pros. You can't always go by what people will say, but I just don't think he'll be successful there. That's just all there is to it.
Look, if an NFL team calls Deion at the end of the season and says, hey, we want to make you head coach in the NFL, you think Deion's going to say no?
Oh no, he'll probably go, but I don't think he's. But the thing is, not even like he's dominating in college.
No, he
You know
didn't
what I'm
win no
saying?
championships.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Because you think of someone that's been super dominant in college, who also kind of he's not as like flamboyant and cocky as Deion, but like Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer talked to them kids kind of crazy too. He went in there to the daggone Jaguars, and if he fell flat on his face, got in trouble for kicking somebody and yelling at people. Like, these are not kids, man. These are grown men. You're not going to be able to talk to them the same way. And that's somebody who has a lot of championships under his belt in the college ranks. Deion don't have none of that. Deion was great at playing football. He was great at, when he coached at the HBCUs, but you're not doing nothing yet in Colorado, man, for you to even get that next level. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, and so I'm hoping that he stays in Colorado. I would love to see them have some success there. And
What's your thoughts on Shador though? Just him.
Shador is my number 2 pick right now. As far as quarterbacks go, I would have to say Cam Ward, Shador, and Beck. Those are my top 3. Obviously Beck because of the he has that connection with Brock Bowers, so it'd be seamless.
Yeah.
But I think just overall, when I'm thinking about, man, if I was the GM and I got the number 1 overall draft pick, who really excites me that's going to become in and just immediately become a star in the NFL, I just keep going back to Cam Ward.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. It's hard, and again, I know it's still early. I definitely want to see what he does when you're playing in the playoffs. Some bright lights really come on. You're playing the best of the best. I think that's when I think those three quarterbacks that you said, the cream's going to rise to the top. So, no, it's going to be good to see, though. It's definitely going to be good to see. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat, man. I usually like to go and bring up a lot of the chats, but it's going so fast, man. But I appreciate everybody in here that's in here showing love. I see my boy Raider Rundown in the building, Jeff Good in the building. Let's see who else, man. So many in here, man. Got Joka TV in the building, Nazo in the building, Isaiah, my boy Raider Solo in the building. So I appreciate every last one of you guys. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up for me, man. We're working real hard to give this content. Make sure you guys also subscribe to my boy Raider D Podcast. Fire content, great production, great editing. That's one of the reasons I really got liking your videos. I'm like, your editing skills is nice, man, for sure.
Bro, I'm which is crazy because I'm a 47-year-old contractor who became an editor.
Hey,
But just hours and hours and hours of dedication of learning how to edit and watching instructional videos and then just playing with it. It's my new passion, man. I absolutely love it. So we actually started a company behind the Raider D Podcast, which is actually our marketing company. And so we've created several ad agency commercials now. We have 4 of them for attorneys and real estate agents, which are cinematic fire videos like nothing you've ever seen for a lawyer's advertisement or a real estate agent. And bro, just every single time I do one, it's like, that is so sick. I love it. I want to do another one. I want to do another one. It's like addicting, bro. It's addicting.
Fire. Man, shout out to my boy, man, AR Bowling in the building. That's my guy, man. Been a member for 5 months, man. That's my guy right there. But he said, I just hope Tom can do what some of the greats couldn't do in the front office. I also hope he's here to get us turned around in the right direction. For sure, man. Appreciate you coming through. But yeah, no, that's legit right there, man. I definitely feel that for Tom, man. But appreciate everybody that's in the chat. But yeah,
just jump on what he just said is, you know what? I think there's a difference because Mark Davis, just the tradition that his dad had of the alumni, right? Which I met quite a few of them when I was down there in Vegas just a little while back.
mm-hmm.
He always surrounds himself. He still to this day carries on that tradition where he surrounds himself with alumni and he takes advice here and there and everything else. But there's a big difference between alumni just giving you a little piece of advice or, counseling you on this or that and money. And Tom Brady effectively controls 10% of this team now. Now, I know he only bought 5%. His partner bought 5%, but his partner is a money dude. He wants absolutely no say in it. He just wants to invest, make his money back, make more billions, right?
Yeah.
So Tom Brady, because it's a partnership, Tom Brady is effectively in control of his and his partner's stake. So he speaks for both of them. So he controls 10% of this team, and that carries a lot more weight than, somebody who played for the Raiders 15, 20 years ago. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that Tom Brady will have a much bigger say. In fact, did you see Mark Davis's statement about his role where he said,
help me find a quarterback,
and train him. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
he slid that in there.
Yeah. So he's kind of probably put that off on Tom Brady. Like, hey, you and Tom Telesco get together and figure out who we're going to draft next year. But I really like this Shador Sanders guy.
Yeah. Now, for sure. I mean, because that's the thing with with Tom. Honestly, if that is just his role, I'm okay with it. Like, just like your role every year is evaluate quarterbacks everywhere within the league, guys that's on a practice squad, guys in college. Just evaluate them all. Like, that's your job every year. So even after we get Shador or Cam Ward 7-10 years later, be like the Packers. Make sure we have the next guy already in the building. Let this thing be a well-oiled machine where, and again, it's me just probably, wishful thinking. But, I mean, if anyone could do it, it's someone like Tom.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be obsessed. That's what people don't realize. This dude is going to be obsessed with. I mean, he was willing to lose his family on football. He's going to have this same obsession as an owner. I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to damn near live in the facility, man. That's just me. That's just me.
The only cat I would say, I don't think that he'll be in the building as much as we think is due to the fact that he has his job with Fox, which is going to take up a lot of his time.
True.
Now we'll see how that in the future pans out, because there's a lot of restrictions on Tom Brady with Fox now, because as a an analyst and a person that's calling the games, they typically get to go in and view the practices of both teams and then meet up with, the quarterbacks and the coaches and stuff. Tom Brady's not allowed to do any of that.
Yeah.
Because he's an owner.
Very restricted.
So he's getting paid what, $37 million a year or something like that.
Yeah, something crazy. Yeah.
To basically rely on his co-host to do all the work.
Yeah. You're
I don't know how well that's going to sit
color
with Fox
commentary
long term. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Honestly, do it for a year or two. Get 70-something million.
Yeah.
That you lost from the, what was that little that big, or not, just some cryptocurrency thing that he was part of. I think he lost a lot of money with that. But yeah, go get some money. And just like my boy Raider Rundown, salute to my boy TRS. He said he thinks he quits that eventually. I think so too, because Tom to me comes across as someone that doesn't do things half-ass.
Yeah.
He's literally going to have to be a half-ass commentator. Like, he's not going to be able to put his all into it. He's not going to be able to go deep like he would want to. I think eventually that's going to bother him, honestly.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I think long term it's going to bother him, and I think also it's going to bother Fox, right?
Yeah.
They're paying the guy an awful lot of money to do half of the work now.
Yeah.
It's like, so Tom gets to go out and enjoy himself while his coworkers have to go and do the work.
Right.
So I think that's going to cause a long-term thing. So and plus I don't know. I've seen some pretty negative reviews that he's actually not very good at being a game caller or announcer.
Yeah.
I haven't actually seen one of his games that he's in yet. Because all the Raiders games haven't had him on it, but I don't know. I think that, long term, I think the deal with Fox will come to an end probably after the season or maybe the next season. Mm-hmm. And then at that point, he'll probably become much more engaged as far as ownership goes and making decisions and helping Mark Davis. I had somebody ask me a question, like, what is the chance that Tom Brady eventually just takes over the team? As far as ownership, buys out Mark Davis and whatever. First of all, he doesn't have enough money to do that.
Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah,
he's very rich, but he's not that rich.
Yeah.
The Raiders right now value is as high as it's ever been. So you
like
need
nine.
Yeah.
What is it?
Like $9 billion.
Yeah, I'm about to say, yeah, it's like something crazy.
You got a super chat from OJ Raider.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get to it. I was letting you finish, but yeah, I gotta.
So no, I don't think Tom Brady will ever take over the team in that regard as far as ownership goes. Now, the other reason why I don't think that would ever happen is because Mark Davis does kind of like the attention, and if he's not owner of the Raiders, who's going to pay attention to him?
Right, for sure. Shout out to Jakey 017. He said, "Thank you for the super, by the way, man. Really appreciate it. Appreciate you, being, supporting what we got going on." He said, "We need to do a full rebuild, and I can't stress it enough. We have to fill other spots before we Bryce Young a QB." I feel what you're saying. Because you do need to have the weapons. But
what does he mean by a full rebuild? Like, what more does the Raiders need to rebuild? The only thing that the Raiders are really lacking right now, I would say, is a center. Andre James is terrible. That was a big mistake re-signing him to that contract. He's just not good. He gets bulldozed. He gets pancaked more in games by defensive tackles, nose tackles, and whatnot than he's pancaking any of the defense. Right. So there's a hole there with him, but that can be addressed next year. JPJ is going to be an all-pro guard / center.
He's a star.
And we hit the gold mine with DJ Glaze at right tackle. Thayer Munford just officially lost his job. He's not getting that job back. He's a backup now. But the good thing about Thayer is he is a good swing tackle. So if anybody goes down, Thayer can step in at left or right, right?
Yeah.
Colton Miller had the best game of the year last week that he's had because he's been playing terrible. But he finally started to play a lot better. And I think the one sack that Aiden got was off of Colton Miller, if I remember right. It was either off Colton or it was off Andre James. I can't remember, but I think it was on Colton. But other than that, I went back and I watched them. Colton did a lot better keeping his quarterback clean, picking up the correct blocks and everything. He's looking faster and stronger. And so I knew that would happen because Colton Miller's an all-pro. He didn't get to do anything in the offseason because of his shoulder. And, when you're a big, what is he, 350, 360, 370, however much he weighs, when you're that big and you're not able to work out every day, you're going to lose a lot, right? These guys need to train all the time. So I knew Colton would suffer at the beginning of the season, but he's slowly getting back to being his old self. We're obviously going to need a wide receiver one. I think Jacoby Myers is a fantastic receiver.
He's a two.
But he's not a one. Yeah, he's a two. Trey Tucker again is a fantastic take the top off slot receiver, all that. So he can do all of that, but he's not going to be a number one guy. He's not going to be a replacement. But I don't think you really need that. I don't think you need a superstar wide receiver. And I say this because the Kansas City Chiefs have proven it. They have Travis Kelce and they won a Super Bowl without the cheetah. So
yeah, but
we got Brock Bowers.
Mahomes is next level though.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. So if you get the quarterback who's next level and you got Brock Bowers who's next level and you have a complimentary receiving core around him
and a play caller because they got Andy Reid.
And a play caller, not named Luke Getsy.
Speaking of, shout out to OJ Raider. Get Puke Getsy the F out of here. I mean, honestly,
okay.
He was here because of Davante. We all know why he was here anyway. So,
did you see his presser today?
Oh no, I didn't watch. I didn't watch his presser. I can only imagine.
Bro, no
accountability. And I don't even hate Getsy. Honestly, I don't think a lot what's going on is his fault.
I'm starting to hate him.
Yes.
After this presser today, I'm starting to hate him.
Let me hear you out. What'd he say?
So he was asked specifically about Madison started the game last week.
Yeah.
We drive down, score touchdown. The dude is clearly the best running back that we have.
Easy.
And this is no knock on Amir Abdullah. I think he's a fantastic
he's a third down,
but he's not an every down guy, right? He is a third down back. He's a guy that can catch on out of space, and that's how we've kind of utilized him. And then you make him an every down back in the very next series, which turned out to be awful. You put him on the goal line, which he is not a goal line running back.
He's the last guy that should be on the goal line. I'm sorry.
And he fumbles the ball. So he's asked about that. Why did you take Alexander Madison out of the game when he wasn't injured, when he clearly had the hot hand? And his answer was, well, it's just that, Madison, he's great for us and he started out great, but we want to kind of just spread the ball around with the backs and stuff. And, but at the end of the day, we're always going to go with the guy with the hot hand. The guy with the hot hand was the one who stored the. Yeah, he's the one who helped you drive the ball. He got half of the yards on that drive, and he scored the touchdown. And he had another touchdown that was called back on a penalty. Who's got the hot hand here? And it just goes to show that I'm so stuck in my ways. And I knew this was going to be a problem because Tom Telesco, when he was hired, he was on was it the Suncrest podcast or something down there in LA? And they were talking about, him being with the Raiders now and his philosophy and everything in this and the Josh Jacobs situation. And he basically said, I don't need an every down back. I don't need a back that can get me 1,000 yards a year. I need 3 or 4 backs that can get me 300 or 400 a year, and I'll get 1,000. and I can pay 3 or 4 backs a lot less than that one guy that's going to get 1,000. Well, that sounds great in theory. But in reality, look at our record and look at our run game right now. Because we've been doing that running back by committee, and the guy who's clearly the best running back is only getting 10, 12 touches a game. Doesn't make any sense.
And by the way, Josh Jacobs is 5th in the league in rushing. But I'm not.
The last time I checked, I think it was a week or two ago, he was at like 5.2 yards per carry.
Yeah,
like
something like that.
Top 3 in the NFL.
Yeah, I think he's 5 now. But yeah, I don't, Yeah, like comments like this. Shout out to you, Jakey, man. I appreciate you. But Jacobs wasn't worth the money. Y'all can't give me. You guys cannot convince me that the extra 3,000 or the 3 million he wanted is not worth having Jacobs. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We have a
3 million. I always say the 3 million that we gave to Brandon Faison.
We have $108 million in cap space right now. We couldn't afford Josh Jacobs.
Yeah,
are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, at the time we didn't, but I get it. Yeah, it's like,
but even then, at the time when we were doing the negotiation, before getting rid of Davante's contract, we were still sitting at 32 million. There was like absolutely no way that you could not afford Josh Jacobs, right? Because what have we done? Who have we brought? We had 32 billion in cap space. We haven't re-signed anybody, and we haven't brought anybody in. So yeah, you could absolutely have kept Josh Jacobs. Now, with that being said, that's kind of a moot point at this time.
Yeah,
because he's not here, and we have a guy who is proven to be the only running back on this team who's been able to consistently make plays.
Right.
And that's Madison. Right. But he's not getting the every down reps. And it's mind-boggling to me. It's mind-boggling to analysts, reporters, everybody. They're like,
no one understands it. No one understands it at all.
It doesn't make sense.
No.
Like how we kept going with Zamir White, who literally can't see a hole. I think they should check his eyes, actually. I love Zamir White. He's a great goal line dude because he's just a bulldozer. You know what I mean? That's where you should be using him. 3rd and 1 should be Zamir White.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Goal line. 1st and goal on the 1 or 2 yard line, Zamir White, right? Not Zamir White on 1st down, 2nd down, 3rd down. Like it doesn't make any sense. Go with Alexander Madison, make him your every down back, bring in Amir Abdullah on, 3rd downs when you want to give Alex a breather.
Yeah.
Right. And Zamir White, to be honest, goal line situations. You know what I mean? Remember back in the day, the Giants had Thunder and Lightning?
Oh, yeah. What, Brandon Jacobs?
Yeah.
Yeah, big Brandon Jacobs. Yeah. And who was the other running back they had? I forgot.
I forget now because I don't watch the
was
Giants.
Barber?
I think it was Barber, yeah. I think it was Barber and
Jacobs was on the same. Yeah, probably.
I think they were Thunder and Lightning.
Yeah.
Right? The Raiders should do the same thing. Alexander Madison should be the every down back when it's like, 3rd and goal or something like that, 3rd down and 1, bring in big Zamir White, let him just, bulldoze in there like a stallion that he'd be riding and taking Instagram pictures on. Just let him let him just bulldoze his way through there.
Yeah, it was Ahmad Bradshaw. Good job, Chad.
Yeah, Bradshaw. There you go.
I forgot all about him. Yeah, no, that was fire.
Those dudes were unstoppable.
Yeah. But the crazy thing about Zeus, man, as big as he is, I mean, he's strong, but I feel like he don't even really break tackles like that, like you would think he does.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
He'll move the pile.
Yeah, but it's not like
break tackles.
Right.
Which is why you would just use him on a 3rd down, 3rd and 1, 3rd and short, because he'll get you that 1.5 yards.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to stop him from getting 1.5.
Yeah.
But if you're expecting him to, break these tackles, I don't know. Some guys just have it. Josh Jacobs had that ability to break tackles. He wasn't the fastest dude. He wasn't the strongest dude, but Josh Jacobs just had that ability of, you're just not taking me down.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stiff arm you. I'm going to embarrass you. I'm going to run you over. You're just not going to take me down. Zamir doesn't have that. We hoped he did. But I was saying it in the offseason when we did not re-sign Josh Jacobs. If you're going to rely on Zamir White, He has not proven to me. He had a good end of the year last year when Josh went down.
Telling everybody, yes.
But he still, like I pointed it out in a few videos. I think it was against the KC game where he broke a big one.
Yeah.
And instead of just heading to the sideline where he could have picked up another 15 yards, maybe stiff arm the corner and run it all the way for a touchdown, he turns into the corner and the safety. He's got 10 yards to his right where nobody's there.
Yeah.
Why would you turn into a tackle? And he does this over and over and over again, and it doesn't make any sense. That's one of the biggest knocks on Zamir White, and why, you know, my concern with them going with Zamir as running back one. And I'm glad they brought in Madison, because clearly Madison is much better. He's got better vision.
Yeah, he's a better running back.
He's better cutbacks.
Yeah.
And he makes things happen on a check down pass. You get it to Madison, and he might break off 25 yards.
Right. No,
that's not happening with Zamir. For
sure. So we have a game on Sunday, because honestly, I have to say, before we even talk about it, you know, a lot of people have been bringing up the whole T word, the tanking, and me, just how my personality is. I'm against everything about it. I'm against I just someone that's competitive. I'm not for it. I hate even talking about it. But now I'm starting to understand a vision where not necessarily tanking, but let's do an evaluation of everybody on the team and see who's going to be here for the future. But what's your overall thoughts when you hear people talk about tanking, or we're going to tank to try to get a quarterback? How you feel?
I mean, I'm going to listen to NFL players who've actually, you know, played instead of us as fans when it comes to tanking. And many of them have made this statement in regards to that. It's impossible to get a 53-man roster all on the same page of tanking. And any coach who intentionally tanks, it's a career killer, because you might not be the coach who gets that number one draft pick, because you might be fired before the season's even over, right? Especially nowadays, like coaches could have 2 or 3 or 4 losing seasons in a row before they would get fired. Now
you have one, you're out.
1, 2,
maybe
you're gone.
There's some people have gotten fired on the first year of, you know, before the end of the season.
So I don't believe that Antonio Pierce is ever going to try and tank, because one, you know, this is his one shot. If he gets fired as head coach from the Raiders, good luck being a head coach again.
Yeah.
Second, you're just not going to get players like Max Crosby on board with that. Christian Wilkins on board with that. JPJ is not going to be on board with that as a rookie. That dude is just fire. Like he's fired up on every single play. You're not going to get the team to do that. Now, could there be from the higher ups an intentional way of trying to tank a team in order to get a higher draft pick? Yes, and that does happen. And what is the first sign that that is happening? You always trade off your best player.
Exactly. They start selling.
Which just happened.
They start selling.
And here's my biggest concern. We all seen the memes of Davante Adams a month ago wearing a green jersey. All over the internet. All the rumors, everything else. And now it's true. Now we're seeing Max Crosby wearing Detroit Lions jerseys all over the internet, and rumors all over the internet. And here's my biggest concern. When from the top down, when you start doing things that are really bad for the team, like get rid of your starting quarterback who's been there for 9 years without an actual plan of who you're going to replace him with. Not saying that Carr shouldn't have gone. I think it was time to part ways with him. I loved Carr, but it was definitely time to cut that cord, because it just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, gotta have a plan.
But they didn't have a plan. Now you cut Davante Adams. What's your plan? The Raiders have none. There is no plan, right? Stack up draft picks, get a quarterback next year. Okay, cool. Max Crosby in his locker room presser yesterday said something that worried me for the first time since he said, if Coach Antonio Pierce isn't head coach, all options are on the table, right? That was the first time he scared me we were going to lose Max. Got Antonio Pierce. Okay, everything's kumbaya. Everything's great. We're keeping Max because he is the best player on our team. Not only that, he's the captain. He's the glue that keeps everything together. But in his presser yesterday, he said, no matter where I am, I'm always going to give it my 100.
In fact, let's talk about it.
Why would you say that
But hold on.
wherever you are?
For if no one is, if people have not seen it.
To rebuild, I'm here to win. So, I don't know whatever that means, but yeah, I'm here to win now, and wherever I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be here to win. So that's all that matters to me.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad you had that clip because,
oh yeah,
for a guy who had hundreds of posters of Max Crosby that we've sold and given away, and T-shirts of Max Crosby that we've sold and given away. You can tell, like, I didn't pick any other player to start my brand off with. It was Max Crosby. That's my favorite player with the Raiders. And for him to make a statement like that with all of the Detroit Lions memes going around, and then Davante Adams getting traded for a 3rd round pick. Look, if you want to move up to that number 1 overall draft pick and grab your guy, the franchise quarterback of your future, you either have to be the worst team in the NFL, which I don't think you're going to convince Aiden O'Connell to just play like crap. I think Aiden O'Connell is going to win us 4 or 5 or 6 games, which is then going to put us at picks
more
10 to 15.
Me, man. You're more optimistic than me.
I think so, because when you look at last week's game, if it was not for the punt block, if it was not for the 2 fumbles by the quarterback, if it was not for, or not the quarterback, the running backs, if it was not for the penalty on Divine Diablo's interception, if it was not for the penalty on Madison's touchdown, which was thrown by Aiden O'Connell, we win that game. Right. So the Raiders shot themselves in the foot.
Well, come on. All those hypotheticals. I mean, we can go the other way. There was like 2 or 3 there was one ball that probably would have been pick 6.
I'm not saying he played perfect. I'm just saying if the Raiders aren't shooting themselves in the foot, we win that game, right? So,
no, I agree there.
And that's why I said, like, it's going to be hard for the Raiders, and unless the whole team just gives up on Antonio Pierce, which is what happened with McDaniels. It's going to be hard for that to, transpire every week. Every week, we're not going to have 3 turnovers. We're not going to have a block punt. We're not going to have penalties that, pull back touchdowns and interceptions that are taken over by penalties. That's just not going to happen. So I think, honestly, I 100% believe with his, what do we got, 11 games left? Aiden O'Connell can win 4. That puts us at 6. Right? That's going to make us pick 8, 9.
What games are those, though? But what games do you see? Like when I look at the schedule, like I feel like the easiest part of our schedule is done. Like I don't see. I mean, the Rams. I mean, this isn't going to be a easy game, of course, but I still feel, I think Cooper Kupp's coming back. So I mean, we got the Rams. We know KC. We got the Bengals. I mean, Miami, without their quarterback, but they got a lot of talent still. Then we got Denver again, KC, Tampa Bay, the Falcons. The Jaguars could be one. The Saints, they're looking real crazy right now without Carr, but I imagine Carr will be back by then. And then the Chargers. Like, where do you see some wins?
I mean, I definitely see a win against the Saints. I think the Raiders are just going to be too
with Carr though, and I'm not even a Carr guy, but with Carr,
yeah. I think we beat the Saints. I think they started out hot, but I think they're just going to end up like a dumpster fire, like they were last year. They're going to be back in that situation. It's going to be a quarterback controversy down there, so I think that's definitely a winnable game. Denver's a winnable game. The Chargers is a winnable game. I mean, there's the Cincinnati's a winnable game. I think the Sunday's a winnable game. I know, in matter of fact, I think we are going to win this week. I think as long as, again, if the Raiders just play clean football, I think that Aiden O'Connell is good enough. And with the cast that we have, I can't predict Luke Getsy saying, let's run on 1st and 20 and run on 2nd and 20. So I could be 100% wrong. Luke Getsy could be, well, the Benedict Arnold in the Raiders who's just going to ruin everything. And like, yeah, Mark Davis, you want to get the number 1 overall draft pick? Make me the head coach next year, and I'll guarantee you we have the worst offense in the NFL. That could be something in there. But, with that being said, look, we got 11 games. Do I believe that Aiden O'Connell can win 4 of them? Sure. That puts us at 6. He might win 5. That puts us at 7. That's going to make us mid-range. Let's say that happens. We're not the worst team in the NFL. We don't have the worst record. We don't have the number 1 overall draft pick. Well, in order to move up to get that number 1 draft pick, you got to have a lot of draft capital, or you have to have a player that somebody really, really wants. And who's the best player on our team? Max Crosby.
Max. Yeah.
And we're losing with him on the team. So if you think you can win with a quarterback, but you can't win with a defensive end, you trade the defensive end to get the quarterback of your future. And then you just hope and pray that you can hit the lottery with another defensive end at some point in the future. But who's more important in the NFL? A premier quarterback or a premier defensive end?
No, I mean, that's true. That's true. I mean, but I honestly think we are going to be closer to a very top 5 pick than you think, man. Because I think I just don't see the wins, man, because not only is our offense, in shambles, but our defense, without Christian Wilkins, I mean, to be honest, and I was telling someone the other day, like our whole team basically needs to be upgraded besides our left guard, our tight end, our right end, and our quarterback too, or our cornerback too. I think everyone else can be upgraded ASAP, man. I just and with the injuries, I just think we're struggling right now. I really don't see us winning. I mean, maybe 2. I think like the Jaguars, and honestly, I don't know if we're gonna beat the Saints, man. We might be able to sneak one off with against Denver, maybe, but I don't know, man. I'm all against tanking, but I just think we need to evaluate players, and I just don't think we have guys that can. And honestly, this week will really show me, because this week it's like, where's the mindset at? Because you know what? Even going back to what you said that the locker room right now is just as bad as it was during the end of McDaniels. So these guys aren't going to play then. If you know what I'm saying, if that's the case, these guys aren't going to play.
I mean, it depends, because again, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility of making the playoffs just yet. I know it's 25% chance at this point, but we're not completely out. Still early enough in the season to where teams can flip the script. A coach can give an inspirational speech. Aiden O'Connell can have the best game of his life. Max Crosby can rack up 4 sacks in a game. Any given Sunday, something can happen that sparks that turnaround with the locker room. That being said, if we're the worst team in the NFL and we have that number 1 overall draft pick, it is what it is at that point. Antonio Pierce isn't going to be the head coach anymore. He'll probably be fired before the season's over, and we'll probably see the offensive line coach or something become the interim head coach. Somebody that Mark Davis will absolutely not be pressured to hire. Like, they may even just make the water boy the interim head coach. That way, no players give him any grief about not making him the head coach at the end of the year. That's always a possibility. I don't think that that's going to be the case with the Raiders. I think that we have enough talent on this team right now. Yes, we got some injury issues, especially Christian Wilkins. That was a big blow, but he could be back in as soon as 4 weeks from now. We'll see how his foot heals up. But either way, if the trade deadline's coming up to a finish next month, So it's coming up real quick. If Max Crosby's still on the team post trade deadline, then we know that we're still trying. If Max Crosby's traded in the next couple of weeks, then we know we're tanking, right? And not that Antonio Pierce is tanking, not that the team is tanking, but the management is tanking, because that's what you do. You trade off your best players in the hopes of stacking up in order to go get a QB1. Because let's say we win on Sunday and then we lose. And then I think we have bye week after that. And then we come off the bye week and we lose. And then we win. And then we lose. And then we win. And now it's looking at like, okay, so we're at pick 7. We're at pick 8. We're at pick 9. You know what I mean? Like if Tom Telesco, if Mark Davis are set on getting that QB1, before that can happen, they'll have to make a decision on Max, because Max is the most valuable player we have. And if you want a high first round draft pick, you got to stack draft picks. And there's a team right now who could make a Super Bowl run who just lost their defensive end,
The Lions.
Michigan. You know, that's where Max is from. You know what I mean? That's where he played college balls in Michigan. I think he even grew up a Lions fan, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a childhood team.
So,
but the thing is,
they would definitely they'd make the trade. They would give up a first round draft pick for him.
Yeah, no, they would, because for one, they probably feel like their first round pick is going to be super high anyway. Like it's not going to be like a premium one. But yeah, for me, I just think if Telesco is who we say he is or who he has been, we know we need a quarterback. I can't see Telesco necessarily trying to do things to get us to the point where we're back in pick 17 or 15 or something like that, because we also know he's not going to give up draft capital to go get a quarterback. So it's like, how many times are we just going to wait for a quarterback to fall in our lap if we know that he's going to trade up? So I don't know, man. If there's a long-term strategic plan, shout out to my boy Severe. He says, he doesn't call it tanking. He calls it a strategic substitutions. That might be the route that they're going. I mean, because if he does not want to trade up for a quarterback, and the only way he'll get a quarterback is if they fall in their lap, we could be waiting 10 years for a quarterback to fall in their lap.
So I want to give a big shout out to Raider Brian. He's been one of my longest supporters of my channel. Big shout out to him. We were able to give away some tickets to the open practice in Vegas because he was able to get those and gifted those to the channel. So big shout out to my boy Raider Ryan there, especially for the super chat. But he says we can only win another 2 or 3 games this season. My faith and hope this year is gone. Max rumors are disgusting and the nation is in shambles. I'm telling you right now, like it's going to be it's going to be a very difficult time if Max Crosby gets traded, because we're all going to go back to Khalil Mack days, right?
Oh yeah.
We never recovered from that. Our defense was never good after Khalil Mack. And it took so many years until Max Crosby was drafted in the 4th round and was an absolute steal in order for us to make that right. I mean, just a year and a half ago, we spent a 7th overall draft pick on a guy named Tyree Wilson. How many defensive ends in the past 10 years have we picked up in the 1st round? None of them are on the team anymore except for Tyree. And I don't know how long his career is going to be with the Raiders.
Yeah. Right.
So it would absolutely suck, because Max Crosby is a generational player. He's one of the few. He's a TJ Watt type of guy that he just makes your team better. At the same time, it's about winning, and it doesn't matter if you got the best defensive end in the NFL if you're not winning.
No, I agree, because honestly, it takes me back to those teams we had with Nnamdi Asomugha. Like, yeah, you got the best corner or the top 2 corner in the league, but the rest of your team sucks and you lose every year, and then towards the end, at the end, he told Al Davis, he's ready to go. He's done. He's not going to re-sign with the team. He's not going to take no hometown discount. You know, he was ready to get out of that dysfunction and go somewhere else so he can compete, you know, and, you know, he didn't play well after he left, but, you know, that's kind of similar to.
That's because they didn't know how to use him.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah.
Nnamdi Asomugha was
man press.
He was a man press guy, and they tried to make him play zone.
Yeah, he struggled right away. Right away. So, but man, I really appreciate you, man, coming through, man. But before we wrap it up, man, I just kind of want to quickly talk about just the game. You know, we're playing the Rams, and 1 second, let's see. And where's it at? Oh, just kind of look like the tail of the tape, looking at the league rankings, kind of where we are compared to the Rams. So, you know, points per game, we're ranked 27th. You know, they're a little bit better at 24. Points per game allowed, we're 27th. They're 29th. Total yards per game, they're ranked 16th or 27th. Yards, pass yards a game, you know, we're 17th. They're 12th. Run yards per game, we're 31st. They're 27th. Yards game allowed, 12th. They're 27th. In the turnover differential, we are now 32nd. We was holding on to 31 for a while. Now we are dead last. That means we give up the ball a lot, and our defense doesn't take the ball away.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we had our first interception last week with Divine Diablo that then got turned over. On a stupid penalty. You know, we finally get it, and then it's like, nope, flag on the field. Take it back. It's very disappointing. And you know what? My biggest disappointment this far and I was boosting our defense up in the offseason. Man, we're going to have a top 5 defense in the NFL. My biggest disappointment is Jack Jones.
All of our and
I have some stuff actually that I was told in regards to that. I'm not going to put it out there because it could be detrimental to the locker room, but we'll see how long his career is with the Raiders.
That's sad too. That's sad because I was high on Jack, man. I thought he was going to kind of turn it around. You know, I'm not giving up on him yet. You know, I don't know what you know, but you know, maybe it's something that, you know, he can bounce back from. Who knows? I hope he doesn't become like a Marcus Peters and totally, you know, give up on the team. But you know, we'll see. So I hope he can bounce back. I've always been a Jacorian Bennett guy, so he's our true CB1 right now, and I'm looking forward to see him continue to get better. Shout out to Robert G becoming a member, man. Appreciate you, my dear.
Yeah, Jacorian is a beast, man. You know, remember everybody was saying we needed to go and draft a first round draft pick corner. We need to sign Xavier Howard and all this stuff. And I kept telling people, I was like, look, Jacorian got hurt last year. He didn't play great as a rookie, but there is no, like, when you're talking about engines and horsepower, there is no replacement for displacement. And there is no replacement at corner for speed. And this dude has it in abundance. If he can just put everything together, he will be a top-notch corner. And he's proven that this year.
Absolutely.
He is our best corner right now that we have. It's kind of hard to say he's better than Nate Hobbs because they play 2 different positions. They're both corners, but Nate is strictly a nickel guy.
Nickel. Yeah.
So it's a whole different type of corner and how you play corner. So I would say as far as outside corner, he's definitely the best one that we have out there on the field. I'm very excited about DeCamarion Richardson long term.
I got to see more of him. He has measurables. You know, he has speed as well.
Yeah.
He's more stiff than Jacorian. That's why I like Jacorian, because he was still fluid in his motions. DCam, I got to see more of him. You know, like I said, I'm not giving up on nobody, but a lot of people were acting like he was going to be the one that's replacing Bennett. I'm like, no way. I think DCam long term will have some good success. I think DCam long term will probably end up replacing, possibly within this season, Jack Jones.
And this is just coming from some of the players that I've talked to, not saying that Jack is bad or that he's better than Jack, but just that some of the players that I've talked to who have said in practice, this dude is phenomenal.
Who, DCam? Or are you talking about Jack?
No, DCam. That DCam is phenomenal. That he has been playing really good in practice. Now he's got to show that out there on the field. Yeah. But he hasn't had a real opportunity in the NFL to do that yet. But when he gets his opportunity, he might be pretty darn good. So I'm excited to see it. I don't know if he will be, but just from what some of his teammates have told me, they sing some pretty high praises of him.
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, again, man, I really appreciate it, man. Everybody, man, make sure you guys go tap into my boy Raider D podcast.
Same thing with Protect the Shield.
Do you usually go? Do you have a certain day you go? Because you drop stuff almost every day, don't you?
Yeah, we drop stuff every day. You're always going to get a video from us. Whether it's usually I'll drop a recorded video on whatever I'm working on. Like right now, I'm working on a video about the impact of Tom Brady coming to the Raiders. So that'll be dropping out tomorrow. And then I'm working on another video about the behind the scenes true story of why Davante Adams ended up going. So guys, be on the lookout for that one. That's going to be a very in-depth, detailed video. And then I do live streams periodically throughout the week, but every Sunday I do play-by-play of the games. And then we have pre-game and post-game. Do prize giveaways in the post games as well. So make sure that you're checking that out. Do you do live stream during the game?
I haven't. I was doing them during like preseason, but I'll do a post. I'll do a post game live.
Well, if you ever want to come join me on a game, just let me know. Hit me up.
Okay, for sure.
Have you come and hop on the live stream, even if it's just for a little while, or if you want to do the whole thing, just let me know.
Yeah, definitely will. I'll let you know.
It's a lot of fun, man. For me, all my kids are grown, and to be honest, like I'm kind of a homebody, so I don't go out to like sports bars to watch games and stuff like that. I prefer to watch them at home, but it's just me and the wifey, and yeah, she's a Raiders fan, but she doesn't really watch football. Yeah. So I like doing the live play-by-play because I get to me, it feels like I get to have all my friends over.
Yeah. You're just talking,
but I don't have to feed nobody, and I don't have to clean up.
There you go. You just hit the button. Bye.
Yeah. Go home. Game's over. Bye, guys. It's over. So I like it, man. Yeah. If you guys want to come in and hit me up, Raider D podcast. And again, everybody what's watching on my stream right now, go and subscribe to Protect the Shield. My man over here, he just puts out quality content all the time. So yeah, a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, awesome. Definitely appreciate it, man. Salute to everybody in the Shield squad for coming through again. Make sure you guys, check him out. But like you guys know, I always say, and honestly, this is kind of like my motto, but I got to get better at sticking to it because these last few weeks or the last couple of days have really been testing me. But like I always say, players and coaches come and go, but we must always protect the Shield. You guys be safe. I love you guys, man.
We be them Raiders. We be them Raiders. We be them Raiders just